Danny DeVito tem tudo para não ser um astro de cinema, mas é. Um dos maiores comediantes dos Estados Unidos gosta principalmente de rir de si mesmo. Diretamente de Cancún, todo o carisma de Danny DeVito. Junior was a project that started signing in a restaurant. You guys signed a napkin. What was it?
Well, Ivan and I and Arnold, we really enjoyed working together on Twins. We had lots of fun, and the movie was very successful. And we thought we were going to do it again. We didn't want to do Twins 2. It would have been very easy to. Everybody wanted us to do that, but you know, Arnold and I'm doing other kinds of movies, and he's doing his movies, but we always kept in touch. You know, we said, well, someday, you know, we'll do another movie together. But if we find, you know, the material that we like, and so we were at a premiere of Dave, I think, with Ivan directed, and we said, okay. The whole thing about it is windows. It's like very, very bizarre. You know, I mean, everybody gets, you know, busy, and we're very fortunate to be able to work in the business. It's wonderful, and there's lots of projects to choose from. Always, hopefully, and I'm doing a lot of things, producing and stuff. So we're sitting in at this party. And Ivan was there, and Arnold and I, and there was this lawyer there who's a friend of ours. And they said, well, why don't we just make a deal right now, you know, that we're going to say we're going to leave this time open so we can shoot the movie. We didn't know what movie yet. We knew, you know, and then so we just all signed this napkin.
And now the
movie.
Would you get pregnant if you could?
No, I think it's... No. I have 3 children, and all the times that Rhea was pregnant, I'm very gung ho. When she got pregnant, I wanted to learn all the things about it, and I was a Lamaze coach, and I read all the books, and I was there for the amniocentesis, which is the testing of the amniotic fluid, and the sonograms, and the heartbeat, and all that. Excellent. I want to be there for all of it. And all the deliveries. I was envious a bit that you women are able to carry, nurture, have this living creature inside.
Junior plays with the difference between men and women.
Yeah.
And do you think, as a director or observer, what do you think are the main differences between both?
Besides the physical, obvious things that we have and don't have, and the way you see, I think in everybody there's both that sensibilities. I think that in you have a balance of the woman and the man, and in me, I have the balance of the woman and the man. That the fact that you dress the way you do and you look the way you do, very beautiful in your eye to me, and your eyes are, you know, and you wear earrings and jewelry, and you have long blonde hair, you know, that's very attractive and appealing, and, you know, very desirable to a man, you know, to me. And, you know, so this is from my point of view. I mean, I say, I don't believe we're different in other ways. I think that we love the same, men and women. I think we have the same desires when it comes to our work and life. I think that if it's the right balance is there, that we all want the same things for other people. Emotions are not reserved for women. You know what I'm saying? Like, men have emotions. It's like people say, well, how can, you know, big, strong, you know, virile man care about something enough to cry? I mean, I think that's a very sexist. I think everybody is the word that that's the key word right there, everybody in that sentence. See, it depends, like, on who you're dealing with. you can't say everybody, because it's not true.
I agree.
You know, it's an individual thing. You know, it's the way I look at it from my own point of view, and that's the only way I can look at things. From my point of view, there's a balance that's necessary in me. I have to know how much I care about things in life. I know how much my desires, my fears, my joys, they all have to be with me at all times. Not, just when I'm alone, but when I'm with you or with anybody or with these people in the room. So, yeah. Okay, so.
You got emotional now. You look like you got.
Well, it shouldn't be a surprise to you, because if you have to think of what's going on here in life with you and with me, and who you are and who I am, and who everybody has inside of them.
Yeah.
We should be full. Hopefully we should work toward that. That's all there is to it. It's life. We're human beings.
Yeah.
That's a very pretty dress you have on.
You started working in your sister hairdresser salon as a hairdresser.
Well, let's take it back a little further than that. I've always worked, and when I was 14, I started working. I lived in a seashore town, and so there were kiddie rides and there were amusements. So as soon as I was able, I went to work there, down the beach, where they called it the beach. And it was a boardwalk, and I would put the kids on the rides and take the tickets, and and sometimes I would work in the concession stand, selling soda or whatever there was there to sell. And then the next job that I had was I worked in the bingo hall. I would sell soda, carrying sodas around to all the men and women who were playing bingo. That was kind of like working for the church. They had the bingo. And that was another job I had. Then I worked as a gardener when I was in my 16, 17 years old. In the summers and in the fall, I worked for a guy, a really great guy, who was, his name was Giacomo Di Sarno. He was an Italian-American who was very smart, really read a lot of books, loved working outside, loved working in gardens, cut the grass, plant the flowers, trim the trees, all that stuff was so wonderful. And then when I got out of high school, I didn't, I was still in Asbury. I didn't know where to go, what to do. I had to work, so I was going to, I didn't know exactly what to do. My sister had a beauty parlor, and she said, "Why don't you work for me?" And I said, "Oh, what am I going to do?" And she said, "You can, I'll send you to school." So she paid for my tuition to go to school, and it was right in town. And I went to school and I learned how to shampoo, set hair, and do this stuff. And I enjoyed it. I liked it very much. I thought it was, exciting. And she was a good boss. She was my boss. And I worked there for a year or two.
Why did you decide to become an actor?
All my life, I was always excited about movies. I lived in this little town in Asbury, and it was a beautiful place to grow up. It was a shore resort, as I said. And in the summer, it was filled with people, packed. You couldn't get a parking space. It was just, like here in Cancun,
Mm-hmm.
Just beautiful, the sea, but there were amusements, and in this one little mile square town, there was almost 7 movie theaters. It was just like a garden of bliss, and they would play every Wednesday. The movies would change. New movies would come in. Sometimes they'd shift to different movie houses, but a lot of times, you'd get 2, 3, maybe 4 movies a week. New ones would come in. you had the comedies, you had the Marx Brothers and Jerry Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, and the Abbott and Costello films, and all the, Bob Hope and this and that and the other thing. You also had foreign films would come in, which would be really good. Sometimes you'd get, you would really start out with, sometimes you'd see, the Seeker, whatever. But then you get also the big epic movies, Cleopatra, American films, or you'd get David Lean movies. They built in my town the bridge of the River Kwai, across the street, because they were, into it. So I always liked it. I always thought that it was possible, someday that I could do it, act. I really enjoyed watching, Richie Robinson, and, I loved watching all these movies. So my sister said to me one day, why don't you go, I was going to learn how to do makeup. It's very bizarre. I'd never read a play or seen a play except for in the summer theater once, Mr. Roberts. It was a musical, I don't know if it was a musical. It was a play that came in to town, and I went to see it because my father had tickets to some, raffle or something he got. Anyway, she said, go to, there's a place in New York, you go over there and you learn. So I looked, but there was no place to really learn it. I wanted to maybe help in the beauty parlor, branch out, maybe get some cosmetics going or something, make some more money. Anyway. So I went and I found this place, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and they had a makeup course. So I said, can I enroll as a makeup student? They said, no, well, you can't just enroll as a makeup student. You have to also enroll as an acting student. I said, what do I have to do? So they said, well, you have to go learn a monologue. Like I said, I never read a play before. So I went and found a monologue from Tea House of the August Moon, and I learned this monologue. And I went in and I did it, and they said, okay, come to school. I left in Jersey, I went to New York, I left my sister, I left the whole thing, and I just dove into, studying acting. And it was exciting.
And you came from an Italian background. Your mother, how was your family life?
Well, my grandparents are all from Italy, all four. But they were all dead, except for one when I was born. So I didn't really get the full, Via Vecchio, so it was, my father was born in Brooklyn, my mother was born in Asbury Park in New Jersey. And
were your family funny?
They were very, very, yes, they were very,
dramatic.
Well, they were very serious in terms of the fact that, they were raising their children. They had, they didn't have it easy when they were, starting out. I wasn't around for that, but, they came through the Depression, and my father had a little candy store, and my mother worked in there with him, and they made the best of, whatever situation it was, and they raised 5 children. Two passed away early on, and then my 2 sisters and I came late in their life. My mother was in her 40s, and so I was the baby. And they were very, it was serious I say serious because of, how it is to raise children and to make ends meet and whatever. They were working hard. But they were very, there was always kind of an energy. My mother was very, always saw the funny side of life, and they would kid around, and it was very volatile, everybody yelling at each other and this kind of thing. But very good, very, spirited. I remember in New York, I used to take, there was an acting workshop that was down on 14th Street. And in the 60s, it was very rough. It was Needle Park was there and all this stuff, and there were lots of things going on. And the acting class was it was a workshop where we did improvisation, and it would go on until 2 or 3 in the morning. And not every night, but every 3-4 nights a week. And I lived many places in New York. Little apartments, sometimes with friends, sometimes I'd have my own place. Very small kind of places in various parts of the city. and you'd have to take a subway, or, you know, and I remember some nights being alone in the middle of the night on the subway and acting like deranged. No, not acting tough. No, acting dangerous in another way. Like, in other words, being so vile and so, you know, almost creepy, you know, so that people wouldn't go near me. You know, like drooling, you know, there's spit coming out. And then, like, anybody would not even wouldn't want to roll me or mug me because they don't want to touch them. You know, I always had long hair, a couple of days growth, a beard, you know, and I always had a long black raincoat and looked pretty diseased.
Yeah.
So.
Did you know inside of you that you would be a star?
Well, no, I didn't think of star per se, or that, because what I did was I devoted my time to the work, thinking about the work, trying to figure it out as an actor, then later as a director, just trying to get, you know, beat in on what the problems are, as what every actor goes through. And I never really thought of like the glitter and the, you know, this Hollywood or the awards or the, you know, that life is much focused on. I think that, you know, looking back on it, you know, as I said, when I was a kid, when I was watching the movies in the movie theater, I always felt that I could do it. And I think that everybody who has the dream or the desire to conquer something or to go after it, as long as they stick to it and be true to themselves and don't let other people dictate to them what they should be doing, then, and you keep, you know, your eye on the right things, you know when it's right and when it's not. Then I think
dream,
you're victorious.
That in your bathroom by yourself, I want to be a star and make them laugh. You have this kind of thing?
No. I mean, no, in my bathroom by myself, I was like usually working on some monologue or, you know what I'm saying, or doing it, you know. Yeah, that's right, to be or not to be. That is the question. You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding, you know, and ask me to do a, you know, I mean, whatever thing you're doing. Are you talking to me?
Are you
talking to me? Are you talking?
I think I'm funny. And the first time you came out to Hollywood.
Yes.
You have no money?
No money.
You have no idea of what to do?
No idea. I went to, I was in New York and I was acting in like in the country sometimes, like upstate, in Summer Theater, and then I was reading In Cold Blood, which was written by Truman Capote. It was in the New Yorker magazine, and I said, I really want to play this part of Harry Edward Smith, and I'm going to go to California to see if I can meet Richard Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
I think this would be great, you know, if I could. So I got some money together, and I got a plane ticket, and I went to California. So I found somebody, and I asked them where, you know, and they said, no, you're in the wrong place. This is not Hollywood. This is downtown Los Angeles, over that hill.
What do you think is the best and the worst of Hollywood?
Well, I think, that, you know, speaking from where I am right now in terms of that I can act in things that I choose to act in, or direct movies that I choose to direct, and now produce films. I try to get films produced that are, you know, embrace young filmmakers.
Like Pulp Fiction,
Yeah,
for instance.
like
How did
Pulp
you get
Fiction.
involved with
Well,
that project?
a couple of years ago, I formed a company, Jersey Films, and the idea of the company was to embrace young filmmakers, not so much as a company that would produce only movies that I act in or I direct, or but movies that where I could act as a umbrella or a godfather, if you will, in a good sense, to young filmmakers, actors, directors, and writers. And two years ago or so, Stacy Scher, who's the president of my company, brought to me this screenplay called Reservoir Dogs. they were making the movie at the time. It was a very low-budget movie that Quentin Tarantino was making, and I read it, and I loved it, and I said I'd like to meet him. I met him, and in 5 minutes I knew that he was a brilliant devotee of film, an artist. I could tell that he had something, a vision that he wanted to put on the screen. I'd read his screenplay, as I said. And I said, well, what do you want to do? I'd love to be in business with you. And he said he has this movie in mind, these stories that intertwine, and it's called Pulp Fiction. And I said, great, let's go to work on it. And so we developed it at the company. We're very fortunate to have him there. And when it was finished, I read it. I loved it. It was, what it is, what you see on the screen is exactly what I read. He gave me a script. It was 159 pages or so. Usually script is 100 to 110, 120 at the most. It said, Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino, final draft. And I got a kick out of that. I thought it was really, so in keeping with the way he is, Quentin, I read it, I loved it. I thought it was hysterical. And I have a dark sense of humor, but I knew that it would be accessible to a lot of people. I think it's a film that, looking back on it now, we know it won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, and it's being embraced by audiences all over the world. But even at that time, even though I thought, this is kind of maybe my dark sense of humor entering into my judgment, no matter what, I wanted to, go forth with it. A lot of people wouldn't make the movie, and then we finally got it done.
Danny, thank you very much for your interview.